So everyone's telling you to quit your job, escape the 9 to 5, be your own boss, chase freedom. And maybe you've tried it, or maybe you've been close to actually trying it. But here's what nobody tells you: quitting doesn't actually fix the problem, it just moves it. So, real quick, you don't hate your job. Let me just preface this before we proceed. You don't hate your job, you hate the ceiling. The part where no matter how hard you work, how many extra hours, how much skill you build, your income is still locked to a predictable range. Promotions are slow, raises are incremental. And you can already see what exactly you'll be making in the next 5 years. And it's not enough. And if that's where you are, this video is for you. Subscribe if you want frameworks for building real options, not just motivation to quit. Let's move on. So let me name what's actually wrong. It's three things. First is time for money dependency. Your income is directly tied to your hours. You stop working, the income stops. No asset is being built, no compounding, no leverage, just a straight exchange. Your time for their money. Second, there are no upsides unless someone else decides. That means it is not permissionless. You can work harder, deliver better results, and your income still only moves if your boss approves of it. The ceiling is set by external forces that neither you nor I do have any control over, not by the value we create. Third, this one is nice. It's constant pressure to survive, just to survive. This is a survival loop, right? Every month resets, bills come due. You're always performing just to stay in place. And this one is exacerbated if people increase the level of responsibility more than their income can actually handle, or inflate their lifestyles with a bunch of useless things that they don't need at that level of income. So there you can see the three constraints: time for money dependency, no upside unless approved, constant survival pressure or reset pressure. So, some people try to fix this, right? They quit prematurely, become freelancers with no clients. They start side hustles that are just second jobs. They buy courses that promise systems but deliver generic advice, and it doesn't work because they change the surface strategy, not the structural leverage. Different activity, same constraint. Now, here's the truth that most people miss: jobs aren't the enemy per se. Time based income is the constraint. If your income stops when you stop working, it doesn't matter if you're employed, self employed, or running a business. If the structure is 1 to 1, meaning 1 hour equals to 1 unit of pay in perpetuity over a long period of time, you're still trapped in the same equation. Like, I'll cut you some slack if that's how you start. If you start freelancing, or maybe you start with your day job right now, which is, there's nothing wrong with jobs. Jobs are very important for our survival, right? The problem is that you are not meant to do that thing for a very long time. You're meant to evolve, change skills, increase the amount of value that you can provide so that you're paid based on value provided rather than time. So if the structure is 1 to 1, then that's a problem. It doesn't matter who you are. And that's the trap. Yeah, so you can see from the graphic here, the equation that traps everyone: 1 hour worked equals 1 unit of pay. It doesn't matter whether you're employed, self-employed, business owner, it's just the same. Especially if you're a business owner, obviously business has the potential to scale beyond your time and energy. Unfortunately, most side hustles that people start are limited. Their scalability is limited by capital, and most people don't have capital, which makes some of these businesses non-viable businesses for freedom or autonomy. Now, let me show you how what this looks like in real life. Right? Let me illustrate this. So, two people, same job, same salary, same company. Person A goes home, scrolls, watches, decompresses. 5 years later, same job, slightly higher salary, same ceiling. However, probably in those 5 years, they did increase the amount of responsibility, lifestyle inflations, debt, etc., etc. You name it. So it just stays the same for them. So person B goes home, spends 2 hours building digital assets. I am saying digital assets because I believe it's the closest uh, leverage that is accessible, or rather the most accessible form of leverage accessible to me and people like me. So that's my bias. It could be whatever form of leverage is accessible to you. Maybe you know people, you have access to loans, which I know I won't talk about it because that's not just the path that I would go. So let's just stick on digital assets. That's my bias. I'm going to be honest. So let's say person B goes home, spends 2 hours writing, creating, systematizing. 5 years later, still at the same job, but they've also built income streams that don't require their presence. They have options, they have leverage. Same job, different structure. The job didn't change, the leverage did. And there we can see person A and person B. And the difference here is how we use our time. Alex Omozi talks about this. Your 9 to 5 isn't killing your dreams. Your 5 to 9, how you're spending your 9 to 5 rather, is what's killing your dreams. Most people in their free time just use it to decompress, consume content, pacify themselves, and just distract, just to go and repeat the same survival loop. Go to work, get paid, bills, pay money, and the month resets and they have to do the same thing. And this is the shift essentially. You don't need to quit to start building leverage. You just need to stop treating your evenings like rest only time and start treating some of them like building time. Not obsessively, not all of them, intentionally, strategically. For example, I'm a pioneer of what I teach here myself. For years, I was very haphazard with how I was building this business, and it took a very long time for me to get on track. But recently, I've had to change my strategies and discover that it's not my job per se that's killing me. My job is actually very important for me to survive and put a roof over my head and food, etc., etc. That's how I spend majority of my time when I'm not working. I used to spend it scrolling TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, whatever you name it, just doing Lord knows what. These days, I wake up every morning. I don't like doing that, but I have to because the survival loop is not something that I like, right? I digress. Let's move on. So every hour spent building an asset compounds. Every hour spent consuming evaporates. So now, what does building leverage actually look like? Three layers, you stack them. Layer one is free distribution. 20 years ago, reaching an audience cost money, ads, billboards, distributors, gatekeepers. Now, you just publish to the entire internet for free. Write a post, record a video like I'm doing right now, ship a product. No permission needed, no budget required. But most people misunderstand this. They think they need to go viral, build a massive following, crack the algorithm. And that's not how leverage works. You don't need a million followers. You need 100 people who trust you enough to pay attention when you solve a problem they have. And that's the real distribution. That's the foundation. Layer two, AI multiplies your output. You used to need a team to scale, right? A designer, a developer, a writer, a VA. If you couldn't hire, you couldn't scale. AI changed that. Now you can create faster, test faster, repurpose faster, build assets while still employed, because execution doesn't require a team anymore. It requires the right tools and the right prompts. Layer three is the stack, right? Free distribution plus AI tools equals asymmetric leverage. And here I have a graphic for asymmetric leverage. Free distribution plus AI outputs equals asymmetric leverage. So, uh, this is the equation that makes building while employed not just possible, but strategic. Your job caters for your current survival, right? Before your engine that you're building in your free time can actually take up upon those responsibilities. Your job does that for you. In your free time, you use some of those free times, even if it's 1 hour or 2 hours per day, either before you wake up, which I recommend, or if you're a night owl, before sleep. So, what you can actually do this week. Here's the part I want you to walk away with. Not a philosophy, a starting point. This week, pick one problem you have solved in your life. I want you to take out the paper or whatever and start just thinking of real constraints, real problems. Like, look at me, I'm creating this. This is a business. This is not just videos for the sake of videos. I'm trying to solve this problem because I experienced this. This comes from my own constraints. So, I want you to get a paper, right? Pick one problem. You can write a bunch of them, either write pick one problem you've solved in your own life, something from your job, your field, your experience, a frustration you figured out that other people are still stuck on. Maybe you're still stuck on it yourself, right? You haven't just had that zeal to solve it, but right now it's your opportunity. It's a form of leverage potential for yourself. Write it down as if you're explaining it to someone. You can write a bunch of options, but I want you to stick on one, not two, not three, one. So write it down as if you're explaining it to someone who's where you were. Three paragraphs, plain English, plain language. Post it anywhere. LinkedIn, X, Substack. Rather, but I will encourage you to post on a longer form platform like Substack or Facebook, or anywhere where you can write, preferably Substack or Beehive if you want to just on your own newsletter. But the downside is that you don't have people already on that platform. You have to drive traffic. But Substack is the best because you can write and share your writing, and there's people already there. Just write it out. Writing plain language. You don't have to be a writer. Just write something and then put it in AI. You can expand on that. I'll make future videos about simple ways on how to write, even if you're not a writer. Doesn't matter, right? That's your first digital asset. It's not a course, not a product, it's not a business. Just a piece of thinking that exists independently of your hours. Now, obviously, when you post that, nothing's going to happen, right? It's just crickets. Maybe if you post two more, three more, five more, 10 more, crickets, nothing. But as time goes on and you keep on blocking out hours, like I told you, if you're going to be focused, use some hours, some blocks of your time, either before work or after. Just dedicate them to building this asymmetric leverage with AI and free distribution. You can block out that time and create some of these assets. Just keep writing, posting. uh you know Make your ideas mature, and things are just going to start clicking, and the hours that you spend are going to compound into something that even you cannot believe when you look at it in hindsight later in the future. And so I'm going to want you to do this again next week. The goal in 1 week isn't income, it's the habit of building something that can scale instead of something that only pays once. Now, real quick, just a little bit aside here, if you want a clearer framework for doing this, I've built something called the 7-day wealth reset. It walks you through exactly how to start rethinking your time and building your first leveraged asset. It's free, link in the description. So let's bring it together. Your job isn't the trap, lack of leverage is. Quitting before you have leverage doesn't free you, it just makes the pressure worse with less stability. The move is to build while employed. protected 2 hours, treat them like capital. Just 2 protected hours, right? Where you focus, distract. Like, look at me right now. My phone's on silent. This is very early in the morning. And why am I doing this? Because I don't want to be trapped in my job doing that for the rest.
Doing that for the rest of my life. That's what I meant to say. The video cut off at the end. Sorry for that. Still getting the hang of this video recording and tutoring. But that's the takeaway of the video. Don't quit your job. Your job is actually useful for your survival right now. Focus on creating leverage using asymmetric leverage, right? The two stacks, the three layer stacks I gave you: free distribution, AI outputs, and your own taste and your own problems and ideas to create asymmetric leverage. You can do that in your free time, in your spare time, either before your work starts or after, whichever works for you. And that's the takeaway of the video. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. That's how you help this little channel grow and this message spread. And yeah, catch you in the next one.